I counted the chairs twice on the last day, not because I needed to, because it gave my hands something to do. 21 years in the same narrow room, and I had reduced it to inventory. 16 chairs, 9 tables, one espresso machine that rattled if you didn't tap the side first. I wiped surfaces that were already clean. I folded aprons no one would wear again. The for lease sign had gone up that morning. It looked too large in the window, like it was swallowing the place whole. Business hadn't collapsed overnight. It thinned out. A new plaza opened by the highway. Brighter lights, easier parking. People drifted. No one meant harm. That's what made it harder to argue with. By 3 in the afternoon, the regulars had said their goodbyes. A few squeezed my shoulder. One told me I was good man. I nodded like that was enough to offset the bank notices in my desk drawer. Around closing time, I remembered 1997, winter that year had teeth. I used to lock up late, and a few boys would linger near the dumpsters behind the cafe. Thin jackets, nervous eyes. They weren't thieves, just hungry. The first time I brought out leftover soup, I told myself it was practical, better than throwing it away. After that, they started slipping in through the front before I turned the sign to closed. I'd let them sit in the back booth near the heater, bread, soup, sometimes pie if there was any left. I never asked for their stories. They never offered. It wasn't charity in my mind, just decency. They were quiet, polite. They wiped the table before they left. By spring, they were gone. People move on. That's what I assumed. At 5 minutes to 6, the bell above the door chimed again. 2 men stepped inside, mid-30s, maybe pushing 40. Coats tailored, shoes too clean for this part of town. A third man followed, briefcase, composed expression. A lawyer, if I had to guess. I felt my spine straighten. "We're closed," I said automatically. One of the men smiled, not wide, just controlled. "We won't take long." They sat without asking. The lawyer remained standing. I had already rehearsed this scenario in my head. A final discussion about debt, a formal notice, something that would make the closure official instead of just inevitable. The taller of the two looked around the room slowly. "Back booth still by the heater?" he asked. Something in my chest tightened. "Yes," I said carefully. "Used to be too hot on the right side," the other added. "You told us to switch seats halfway through so we wouldn't sweat through our coats." I didn't answer. I studied their faces instead. Winter. Oversized jackets. Thin wrists. "You probably don't remember," the taller one said. 1997. "We came in after closing. You fed us without making it a thing." Memory doesn't arrive like lightning. It creeps. The way they held their spoons. The way one of them used to fold napkins into sharp squares when he was nervous. "I remember some boys," I said. "We were those boys." The lawyer stepped forward then, placing a folder on the counter. Calm, precise. "You're the sole owner of this property?" he asked. "For now," I said. He opened the folder and turned it toward me. Legal documents, bank seals. Transfer statements. "The outstanding mortgage on this building has been purchased in full," he said. "Effective immediately." I blinked. "Purchased! Cleared!" The taller man corrected gently. "We bought the debt. Then we paid it. Silence has weight." It pressed into the cafe, into the cups stacked behind me. "You don't owe the bank anymore," the lawyer continued. "The lion has been released. The title remains in your name." I looked from one face to the other, searching for the angle. There is usually an angle. "What's the catch?" I asked. "No catch," the shorter man said. "We heard you were closing. A contractor we work with mentioned the property was coming up. We recognized the address." He glanced toward the back booth. "You let us sit there when everyone else told us to move along. You called us gentlemen. No one had done that before." I swallowed. "Wasn't just soup." The lawyer slid another document forward. "There is one optional agreement," he said. "If you choose to retire, the building can be transferred into a community trust in your name. It would operate as a public kitchen. My name, on something permanent." "And if I don't retire?" I asked. "Then you open tomorrow," the taller man said. "No debt. No interference from us. We're not interested in owning it. We have our own work." I studied the papers carefully. Dates, signatures. Official seals, everything legitimate. I asked questions about tax implications, about reversals, about timelines. The lawyer answered without hesitation. No one rushed me outside. The street was quiet. The chain cafe down the road still had lights blazing, people inside tapping on laptops. I didn't keep track of you. I said, finally. I didn't expect anything back. That's why we're here, the shorter one replied. I felt something shift then, not dramatic, not explosive, just a rebalancing. For months, every letter I received had taken something from me. This was the first document that restored instead of reduced. You understand. I said slowly that if I accept this, I stay in control. Yes, the taller man said. That was the point? I signed the acknowledgement forms with a steady hand. No one clapped, no one cried. The lawyer packed his briefcase. The two men stood. Will you be open tomorrow? One of them asked. I looked around the cafe, the chairs I had counted, the machine that rattled, the back booth near the heater. Yes, I said. I will. They nodded once, like a business meeting concluding, and left. I locked up as usual that night. The for lease sign came down. I didn't replace it with anything. The next morning, I unlocked the door at 6. Coffee brewed. The machine rattled. I tapped it. At 6:15, the bell chimed. The two men walked in again, this time without a lawyer. They chose the back booth. Coffee, I asked. Yes, sir, one of them said. Sir. I poured 3 cups instead of 2 and carried them over myself. The town would find out soon enough. News travels fast in small places, especially when a failure quietly disappears. But in that moment, it was just steam rising from cups, sunlight through the front window, and the simple fact that the door was open. 21 years ago, I gave away what I had left at the end of the day. This time, someone gave me back the beginning.